Okay, so moving on to the side seam pocket. That's another thing that we would tackle in this version 2 skirt. So here's the sample. This is a garment, the back of the garment, just let you know that's the top of the garment. This is the wrong side. This is the front of the garment. And these are my pockets. Typically you need 4 altogether. Since I'm only going to be doing one side, you just replicate it for the other side of the garment. I will only be using 2 instead of 4 because it's just one side. So there's the wrong side, so 2 pieces together. So I won't be needing that one. Just letting you know that typically it's 4 because you usually have parking on one side of the garment and parking on the other side. You need 2 for each side because you have a front and a back. Okay. But because I'm only doing one side, I only need 1 set of pockets. Okay, typically pockets are put in when it's a side seam 1 inch down from the top of the garment. Okay, just to let you know. So I already marked that one. And so I'm just going to mark this one, and actually, let me mark it on the right sides here. Just marking, going to mark 1 inch. And I'm just marking on the right side of the garment. Okay, so with right sides together, taking 1 at a time, okay, you are going, so right sides together, you are going to place the pocket, again, right sides together, at that 1 inch mark. Okay, like that. And here, the 1 inch mark. All right, now remember, definitely pin to secure. Oh, let me tell you about the markings, huh? So the markings, you should have 2 markings on your pocket. Now this is just a square pocket, just for ease of me doing it. But most pockets are, you know, kind of round like that. But they do have those 2 notches, as you can see right here, and that just helps you with your sewing. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is just attach the pocket to the garment. So again, it's right sides together, so right side of the pocket should be facing right side of the garment. And say you have a 5/8 typical seam allowance, you want to go in some, so that would be a 1/2 inch. Typically they usually take off 1/4 of an inch, but for me, you know, I like to make things uniform for everything, so I always do these type of things at 3/8. Just, you know, whenever I do like a uniform type of stitch, I just make it a 3/8. Like the same thing with the stay stitching, they usually take off 1/4, but I don't feel like all that calculating all the time. So, ooh, I'm using 1 inch, so now I gotta, you know, make it a 7/8, or ooh, I'm using 5/8, now I gotta make it, you know, 1/2 inch. You know, I don't, whatever. So I just make it a typical universal 3/8 for me when it comes to things like that. So again, so for this, I will make this a 3/8, and you're going to start a little bit before, you know, the actual pocket piece itself, because the idea is attaching the pocket to the garment. Back stitch, of course, and you're going to sew all the way to the end of the pocket, come off of it a little bit, back stitch, because again, the idea is to attach the pocket to the garment. So you're going to do that individually for both pieces, for both the front and the back. And remember, typically you will have 4 pieces that you will be doing this to, because it's 2 sides of the garment. So typically you have one on this side that looks like this, and then you have another one just like that on this side that looks like that, and you have it for both. But we only doing one side, so you only got 2 to do here for your samples. do that and come back. So now your pockets should be sewn to your garment. So take a closer look. Start a little bit off. Make sure to catch it, and end it a little bit off. So I'll make sure to catch it. So from this point on, oops, I just realized my homemade notches here is on the wrong side. All right. So what you're going to do from this point is remember to press the seams flat, and then what you're going to do a little bit different, you're going to press the pocket away from the garment, making sure that the seam allowance is also away from the garment. Okay, so everything should be away from the garment. So press flat, and press the pocket away from the garment, ensuring that the seam allowance, you see it real fast, is also away from the garment itself. Okay. Again, I'm not going to do that to save time, so I'm just going to hand press mine. Both of these. So now we need to join the garments together. So remember, you should be doing this on both sides, right? And so now we're going to join the garments together. It's going to be right sides facing. Let me make sure I did that. Of course I didn't. Of course I didn't. I'm going to sew one on the other side. Sorry guys, I sewed it wrong. Maybe away. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I'm gonna have to sew one on this side. So let me cut this one off so as not to confuse anyone. Just correction. You have to do mirror image. So sorry, I did it the same. I did it like this, you know, but it has to be mirror images when we only doing one piece. Okay, I'm sorry. So do it this way, because once that, yeah. So when you cut out your sample pieces, just make sure the pocket is basically mirror images of one another. So one will be to the left, one will be on the right side. So one will be on the left side of the garment, one will be on the right side of the garment. Okay. And I need to find my 1 inch down again so I can place this correctly. All right, and so now what you're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and sew this, but I'm gonna let you know what I'm doing before I sew it. Okay, so remember you pressed it away from the garment. So now what you're gonna do is, keeping the pocket away from the garment, you're gonna put the garment right sides together. Okay, so once I sew that, this will be like that. Okay, so I will be placing right sides together. The garments will be right sides together, excuse me, and the pocket itself will be right sides together, but still away from the garment. Okay, so do that and come back. Okay, so now you should have something that looks like this. Your garments are right sides together, along with your pockets. Remember, away from the garment, everything, including the seam allowances, and your pockets are right sides together. Now, typically, you'll have these X's will also be on the garment side itself as well. If not, just go ahead and transfer them. So I'm just gonna, for here, Just make it parallel, just bring it over so it's on this side. All right. Oops, that was a little bit lower. Idea. All right. So the X's let you know where you need to stop. All right. So at your seam allowance, remember commercial is 5/8. I'm probably going to use a 1/2 inch just because I don't have a lot to work with here. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch, and you're going to sew this seam. So this is your side seam of your garment, because this is the side seam pocket. Okay. So you're going to start at the top, back stitch, go down to the first X, back stitch, cut your threads, start here, start to sew, back stitch, go down to the bottom of your garment and back stitch. Once you do that, then you're going to sew your pocket itself. Okay, so you're going to, from here, you can start at your seam, you know, at whatever, let's say it's going to be here. That's going to be the stitches, right? So when you sew your pocket, you want to start at your seam, wherever that your stitches were. You start there, and you're going to sew. You're going to sew across, okay? Whatever your seam allowance is. And typically the X's are the start of your seam allowance. So if it's a 1/2 inch, your X's will be a 1/2 inch. If it's 5/8, your X's will be 5/8, okay? So coming around, stitch, 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 stitch. Go over, stitch, stitch. Remember your seam allowance, whatever that is. Oops. So, and then you're going to carry over. So your stitches will be going down here. Okay. And that'll be a stitch right there. So you're going to go over and stop. Do not go past it. Okay, you won't go into your garment. Stop at your stitch line. Okay, so again, you're going to start here with a back stitch, go down, back stitch, cut your thread, start your stitching again here, back stitch, go all the way down to the end, back stitch. Now we're going to close off the pocket itself. So starting at the stitch here, you're going to go across. So from here, you're going to go across, do your stitching, go down, and keep in mind this typically is all even. Okay, go down, go around, and end back at this stitch. Okay, do that and we'll be back.